Hello and happy Wednesday. Welcome back to another Mosaic Minute. I'm Kristen Sadler, our CEO and culture warrior, and I have one of my absolute favorite specialists as it relates to all things performance management. And I'm going to even expand that into all things talent. Sherry Wadlington has been with us for a little while. She is one of our professional services leaders, and she actually personally helped me implement and put together our performance management strategy 7 years ago and really leverage this tool. So when we started talking about what we wanted to have a topic around for this next Mosaic Minute, when we started talking about performance management, Sherry was the one that we absolutely had to pull in. And she's been along with me, along with Jessica, who's now our head of HR. She's been along that journey the entire time to really make sure that we stay up to date and that we're leveraging our tools to the best of their abilities. So welcome, Sherry. I wanted to share your amazing knowledge with everyone out there. Do you just mind sharing how long have you been with Mosaic? It's longer than me. How long have you been with Mosaic and what keeps you here?
I'm celebrating my 10th year with Mosaic. Yep. So I guess they call me one of the OGs now. So
you are an OG. That is for sure. I remember 7 years. I remember coming here and having an opportunity to meet you at our first May meeting. Now we call it Tesoret. And remember that. Welcome. Yes. Love it. What do you love about Mosaic? What keeps you here?
Wow. I would say, what's really consistent is the culture and the people. We've got some of the most talented and experienced people that I just love interacting with. And, our customers are great too. So I just, I'm not going anywhere. I really like what Mosaic has.
I love that and appreciate that. I completely agree. Culture and the people every day, all day. It's why I show up and love what I do. So I feel the same way as you do. Love it. So let's get into performance management. Before we get to the tool, I just found this absolutely fascinating. I am a HR geek at heart. And so I have had the opportunity to study performance management and try to identify what strategy to implement into different companies. And so I just find this fascinating, wanted to share, and then we'll dig into the technology here. But I found what I love is the progression of performance management. And so when it really started was the early 20th century. It was very much focused on the scientific management. And as it progressed, in the 60s to 80s, it was very much focused on behavioral and objective-based approaches. So I think we really saw, the transition to annual reviews. We saw the transition to the rating scale, tying it to salary increases and promotions, and really just focus on past performance. And so as it's progressed, in the late 90s, we started seeing 360-degree feedback. That became an interesting time, really focus on the multi-rating and the feedback where you're well-rounded and seeing from all different angles of who you touch in an organization. And my favorite is when it really got focused more into that continuous feedback and development. So in the early 2000s, that's really where we all had our focus from an HR standpoint, really focus on employee development and continued performance management. And so as that's progressed and as it gets very relevant to today's discussion, in about 2010s, I'm gonna extend that to more than just a year, really got focused on technology and different agile approaches. And so we've really seen the advancement of performance management softwares. And we are fortunate enough that we get to work with UKG directly and help other organizations figure out how to best leverage that tool to fit their actual methodology for performance management. And so let's jump in there with current trends. There's more holistic approaches. There's more coaching and development, and even better, there's more data-driven insights now more than ever. So I'm going to focus on the expert here, Sherry. What are some of the ways to engage managers and employees throughout the year using UPM? It's more than just the one time of year. You got to focus on the whole picture there. So what are some of the ways?
Well, again, using the tool and interaction, you can encourage the conversation between the managers and employees and document progress throughout the year. So there's tools in order for the employee and the manager to note progress on goals and put in notes and things back and forth to each other so that you're engaging throughout the year. And those notes, again, can be visible when you bring in the review, so you don't have to try and remember the entire year. It's actually going to be pulled in and part of the actual review itself.
Love that. Love that. I recall the day when it really moved from, okay, instead of just having this one annual review, and how do we actually leverage the technology to really connect
Right.
those goals? And I love that we have the ability to do that now. How does it even lead to some of that leadership action as it relates to giving that
Mhm.
feedback throughout the year? Yeah.
So again, you can leverage the tool to create multiple check-in periods, so mid-year reviews. Some of them can be strictly conversation and not actual rating and things like that. And yes, there is a tool called Leadership Actions or a functionality that is kind of like a reminder or a tickler list for managers that they can set up for themselves to remind themselves to have conversations or celebrations or coaching opportunities with their staff. So again, it's just another way to use the tool to remember to engage throughout the year and not just have a one-time event of the annual review.
Love that. What are some other templates and types of reviews that are useful for managers that, again, that are really pulling the employees forward,
Mhm.
keeping them engaged throughout the entire year?
I really like working with clients and creating kind of a new hire check-in template. Um, we can create questions to engage that conversation and note the conversation. So things like, how is your training going? Do you have the tools that you need to do your job? What other things can your manager do to help you? And it's just a way to, again, document that conversation and come up with some action items, either for the manager or the employee. And it's fully visible by like the talent staff and everyone else to help, again, with the analytics and or just to make sure that it's being followed up on. So I really like that idea of the automation of it. You can send it out automatically on their 90th day and it's on their to-do list of things to do. The other thing I like, again, is that mid-year review. You can take the same elements and tools that are in the annual review, but just check in without a rating to see how are you doing, and let's document your progress. Do we need to add something or take something away? However that goes, but it's just truly an engagement throughout the year.
I personally love the mid or the I'm sorry, the new hire 90-day check-in. When you had us
Mhm.
implement that here, I know we really focus on, again, the annual event, and then we were like, okay, how can we continue this throughout the year? We have a philosophy here of no surprises. So when it comes to that opportunity where you sit down, it should be a true review of everything that's been discussed throughout the year. It's the celebrations throughout the year as well. So that first 90 days, that check-in, that was a game changer for us at Mosaic, because it was also an opportunity to really make sure that our recruiting process, expectations we set in that recruiting process, the onboarding, the everything we share as a part of, this is what the job and performance looks like. These are the
Mhm.
expectations. This is what success looks like, which are all factors of employee engagement. We were able to build that and make sure that recruiting process and onboarding process was truly connected into performance management right after 90 days.
Mhm.
It really sets them up too, whether it's for a mid-year or for an annual review, that they already get a flavor of what that feels and looks like. And again, no surprises. So when you had us implement the 90-day check-in, it was really that connection between recruiting and onboarding all the way into, again, that continued performance management. So it is
Yeah.
one of my favorites as well. Mid-year reviews, I don't know about you, but I've always heard the feedback is like, is it as long as the annual review? But the good news is you get to choose that, right? You
Yeah,
get
you
to,
don't. It doesn't have to be. Yeah,
yeah,
I've got clients that send out a mid-year review that is just like 2 or 3 questions. It just takes a
love
few
that.
minutes, but we just want to make sure we're touching base and documenting it. Yeah.
Love that. And how much do you see typically within a review and the templates that you're helping them set up? How much of it is specific to like overall organization or goal setting? Maybe there's some culture questions in there.
Hmm.
Maybe it's open text versus, the rating scale. Just what are some of the trends or flavors that you're seeing today in those templates?
Um, Actually, I'm starting to see a turn of let's come up with a simple template that is geared towards everyone, rather than it being really customized for management staff versus everyone else kind of a thing. And it's really all about, like you said, it's more about the company engagement and let's talk about and have, universal competencies for everyone, instead of specifics. So I'm starting to kind of see that trend, which is actually much easier as a talent administrator to maintain, and everything. But I'm starting to see some of that. I'm also, most organizations are still using goals and competencies. And then, like you said, you can have some culture questions added in there as well, and just other factors that aren't rated, but you want to note the conversation as part of the review.
Love that. And so what are some of the other tools that are included with UPM? So what's that, I guess, well-rounded picture?
Yeah. So some of the things that that are included. So there's a talent card that's visible by managers or administration, and that talent card is just that it's a little snapshot of the employee's work history, their comp history. It shows, if you have the data in your system, it shows everything about their skills, their education, their licenses and certifications. So it's just a good way to kind of see a holistic view of that employee. You can actually compare them, side by side if you needed to, or things like that. But it's a nice little added value, I guess. And then there's a manager's dashboard. So the manager's dashboard is intended for all things performance related. So it's going to show all of their goals in progress for your employees. It's going to show their reviews. It's also going to show those leadership actions and when those are coming due. It has a menu item for recent activity on your employees. So if they've had job changes or org level changes, it kind of shows that in a snapshot. So it's just a nice tool for a manager to see everything kind of performance related on their entire team, all in one dashboard. And then, of course, there's a lot of delivered analytics and reports around the business, around the performance management tool. And of course, you can customize those in a variety of different ways, but there's a lot that the administration can use for analytics as well as management. So a lot of BI that comes with the tool.
It does. There's more in there than I realized. I remember the first time I really started digging in to the analytics side of it. I think I even found a 9-box and I was like, oh my gosh, I got so excited. But the manager talent dashboard is one of my favorites. It makes it so easy, especially when you have, several direct reports versus just having 2, and you've got, 10 that you're trying to manage and keep up with. And, some people decide to do the annual review process on anniversary dates. Some have a, one for all opportunity. It just depends on what your organization's strategy is behind that. But regardless of which way, it's the dashboard is key to helping keep up with all of that, which is absolutely wonderful. It's been interesting too to see how the analytical side pulls into, as an organization, what do you do with this information? Right, so performance management as an event for the employee and receiving that feedback is extremely important. And then being able to have a better indication of what your talent pool looks like, and then where you may need to hire up or where you may need to have more development opportunities to help level people up is key to being able to work through that strategy. So that is so fantastic. And if you're sitting there wondering like, oh my goodness, that's a lot to tackle, this is the person you want to talk to. Sherry is incredible. And again, she helped me set up everything many years ago, and then has been there as a source of truth to help us continue to advance our overall strategy. And again, it's all linked for your people strategy, which is wonderful. So before we jump and wrap up, I'm going to ask you this last question. I know there's many different philosophies on how to give feedback. And again, it's all related. I know SBI, situational behavioral impact model, is a fan favorite from most. What's the situation? What's behavior? What was the impact it made? There's feed forward. There's 360-degree feedback. A newer one that we've seen the last decade is really the start, stop, continue. I say last decade, it's probably been around for a while. And then radical candor, which is probably one of my absolute favorites. Kim Scott's philosophy around how to give that feedback. Anyways, there's many different models out there. Do you have a favorite in regards to coaching others on how to give feedback?
I'm with you. I really like the presentation we had with Radical Candor. I thought that one was really good. And I don't necessarily have a favorite, honestly, because as a technology person, it's more about me helping clients, accommodate what they like and the processes that they're going to use. So I just try and, look through and work with what they're coming with. I obviously offer them best practice and the ease of use as much as I can. But I really try and accommodate what they're looking for.
Love that. Love it. Love it. Wonderful. Well, thank you for your time today. We appreciate all of you joining us. We appreciate you thinking through your overall performance management strategy and how to really leverage this tool to get what you need out of it to manage your talent strategy. So thank you so much for joining. If you ever have any questions or want to have a great conversation and just talk through what that looks like and how to maybe leverage that technology more, please reach out to us, info@mosaic-cg.com. Of course, you're welcome to message both of us, and we'd be happy to share our perspective as well. You guys have a wonderful day. We'll see you at the next Mosaic Minute. Thank you.